One of the questions I get a lot with regards to GA4 is what happened to views, and can we create views to organize our properties reports? And so if you're familiar with views in Universal Analytics, what they are is within a property, and a property usually equates to a website where you have the tracking code on a website, and that tracks as a property, and you may have subdomains with the same tracking code. And what you can do in Universal Analytics is you can have views within that property, and it's fairly typical to have a default view, which is kind of everything that you're tracking, but you might want to create specific views to do different things like look at subdomains, look at subfolders. You might want to filter out traffic based on parameters that you've correlated to spammy traffic. So that might be the country they come from. It might be the user agent, some combination of user agent and other characteristics. So views are really handy, especially if you have a big complicated website with multiple subdomains. Fairly common to want to be able to look at the subdomains separately, but it's really helpful to be able to use the same tracking code and same setup in Google Tag Manager, etc. So in GA4, there are no views, which is unfortunate. There's not the equivalent of views, but I want to show you a technique for bringing back a lot of the capabilities of views and actually ending up with something that I think in some ways is better than views. So I'm in the 2Octobers GA4 account. 2Octobers is my organization's website. And what I'm going to do is I'll take the example of if I wanted to create a view that's just US traffic. And why would I want to do this? Well, our business really serves customers in the US. We hire people in the US. We're really especially interested in people in the US. We get a lot of traffic from outside the US because of blog posts and other content on the website. But as far as like the people we're trying to reach, the US audience is really important to us. And so I'm going to, something that I have done and a typical thing a person would want to do is to create a view of just US traffic in Universal Analytics. And I can actually do essentially the same thing in GA4. So let's walk through that. I'm looking at the traffic acquisition report. Doesn't particularly matter what report I'm looking at. That's what I'm in right now. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on this customize report option. You'll only see that if you have editor or administrator permissions. So if you don't, you're not going to be able to do what I'm showing you right here. So hopefully you can get those permissions if you'd like to do what I'm doing here. All right, so now I'm going to add a filter to this report, and I'm going to pick a country, and I'm going to pick United States. I'm going to say OK, and I'm going to apply this filter, and then I'm going to save, and then key thing, don't save changes to the current report. What I'm going to do is I'm going to save this as a new report. I'm going to say traffic acquisition, and I'm going to say US only, and I'm going to save that. Okay, so now I have this report. I'm going to go back, and I'm going to look at reports. And if you look here, the report I just created is nowhere to be found. What you need to do is go down and click on this library link. And this is where all of your navigation and reports are organized. So you can see everything here. We've got the these collections, and then we've got these folders within the collections, and hopefully this is all familiar to you. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to create a new collection. And I'm going to call this actually US only. That's perfect. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick the report that I just created. I'm going to drop it in here. And I'm going to save that. And then I'm going to go back. We'll see, so we've got this US only now. And one thing to point out is when you create a new collection, it starts out as unpublished. That's handy because you might want to do a lot of organizing. I'm only showing you this collection with one report in it, but you saw how easy it was to save reports. So I can go through with all of my reports and do the same thing and add that filter. In this case, what I'm going to do is I'm going to publish it the way it is and leave it to you to do the same thing and create filters on all of your reports. So now you see this is popped up over here. I can now, for all users, they're going to see the same thing. I've got my traffic acquisition US only. So you can imagine, like if you have a website with different subdomains, for example, then you could create collections for each of your subdomains, and maybe you don't need to have all of your reports. I think some of these reports I don't find that I use very often, but you could certainly go ahead and create all of the navigation that you have with your standard reports. Like I say, I actually think this is better than views. There are some things you can do with filters and views that you can't do here, but for me, actually, this covers most of the use cases that I use views for. So I hope you find that helpful.